today we're going to be looking at using graphs in order to predict a possible solution or answer a question, and we're also going to be using data to help us predict. Now, yesterday we talked about scatter plots a little bit. Let's revisit that. There were 3 types of scatter plots that you could have. We could have a scatter plot where your dots are just basically everywhere, and that's considered to be no correlation. Then we talked about scatter plots that seem to fit a trend. In other words, these dots, it looks like the further I'm going over, they're just increasing, they're going up. So that's why I drew what I call a line of best fit, because it shows that this data is going upwards. Or we call that a positive correlation or positive trend. And if I have my data that just seems to kind of be falling consistently, and I drew a line of best fit to show that it's going down, we call that is a negative correlation. Now, what do I mean by correlation? A correlation just means a relationship. In other words, in this example, if I'm comparing age to the amount of soda that you drink, do you think there's any correlation there? No, I mean, a young person can drink a lot, or they could maybe not drink much at all. Or an older person could drink more soda compared to somebody else maybe the same age that doesn't drink any at all. So age has no relationship to the amount of soda you drink. So that's why we say that there's no correlation between age and the number of sodas you drink. Okay, in this example, we have study time versus test scores. We notice as we increase our study time, what happens to our test scores? They go up. So that's a positive correlation. So that would be your explanation, that as I increase my study time, my test scores are going to go up. We can also use this to help you predict. So if I study so many minutes, then I can expect to get a certain score on your test. Now, is that going to be true exactly? No, it won't be exactly true along this line, but it'll be pretty close. And then the last one is, if your trend is going downward, we call that a negative correlation. For instance, let's talk about the older you get. As your age increases, what happens to your growth in height? It decreases and eventually stops. You don't grow anymore. So this is what is a negative correlation. And how would you explain it? The older you get, the less you grow. All right, now let's use data to help us make a prediction. Okay, I've collected some data. I did a survey in this class, and I found that 20% of the class said that they have 2 sodas per day. 30% of the class said that they have 5 sodas per day, and 50% of the class says they don't have any soda every day on an average. So given this data, let's see if we can make a prediction if we were to include all the 7th graders or a group of 50 students. How many would you predict would drink 2 sodas per day? How many would you predict would drink 2 sodas per day? How are we going to figure that out? Well, what percentage drinks 2 sodas per day? 20. We know that. That's a fact that we have found. So can we use that to help us predict? So what are we going to set up to help us solve that? A proportion. So we know that in the category of 2 sodas per day, it's 20%. So 20 over 100 will equal, do we know the part? No, that's what we're wanting to find out. But what's our whole this time? 50. I'm surveying now. I want for 50 students. How many would that be? Okay, punch that in and see what you get. Okay, you're getting 10. So we'll have 10 students in that category. Now, how am I going to find out in the whole 7th grade how many students drink 5 sodas per day? Okay, 5 sodas per day is what percentage of the students? So it'll be 30 over 100 equals N over what? 50. Very good. That's your whole this time. We're just figuring it out. 50 students. Okay, do the math, and when you have a solution, raise your hand and I'll check you, and then you check your partner, please. Good job. It looks like everybody's coming up with 15 students. All right, you set the proportion up for the last one. How many students out of the 50 will drink no sodas per day? Write your proportion out, please, and your solution, and I'll check you. All right, what was the proportion? Because it's 50%, so it's 50 over 100 equals N over 50, because there are 50 students all total that I want to find the percentage out of. And you get 25 students. Very good. Are there any questions? Today we worked on using data to make predictions and using graphs to make predictions. That's a wrap.